10 days before Thanksgiving, I found out my daughter was planning to humiliate me. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't trying to catch her in anything. I was just doing laundry in the basement of her house, where my wife and I had been staying for the past 8 months, while our own place was being renovated after a pipe burst. The washing machine was humming, and I was folding towels when I heard voices coming through the vent. Not just any voices. My daughter Emily's voice, and her husband Derek's voice. They were in the kitchen directly above me, and they must have forgotten the Bluetooth speaker was still connected to Derek's phone, because I could hear every single word with crystal clarity. "I'm telling you, Thanksgiving is the perfect time," Emily said. "Everyone will be there. My aunts, your parents, the cousins. We make the announcement, lay out all the reasons why it's not working anymore, and then we're done with it." "You sure your mom won't flip out?" Derek asked. "She'll be fine. She knows he's been a burden. She's just too nice to say it out loud." I stood there with a damp towel in my hands, frozen. "The key is to make it look like we're being generous," Derek continued. "Like we tried everything, but he's just too stubborn to accept help. That way, when we cut him off, nobody can blame us." Emily laughed. It wasn't a warm laugh. It was the kind of laugh you hear in a high school cafeteria when someone's talking about the kid who just tripped in the hallway. "God, I can't wait," she said. "He's been embarrassing me for years, walking around in those ridiculous work boots, smelling like motor oil at every family event. My friends think he's some kind of redneck mechanic. Do you know how many times I've had to explain that yes, my father runs a repair shop for motorcycles and lawn mowers? Hey, at least after Thanksgiving, you won't have to explain anything anymore," Derek said. "We'll set him up in some little apartment across town, maybe get him a part-time gig somewhere he can't embarrass you, and then we move on." "Exactly. I mean, we've done our part, right? We let them stay here, we've been patient. But honestly, Derek, he's like this antique that nobody wants, but everyone's too polite to throw away. It's time." I heard the sound of a refrigerator opening, then closing. "You think he suspects anything?" Derek asked. "Are you kidding? He's clueless. He still thinks I'm his little girl. He has no idea I've been planning this for months." "What about the money?" "What about it?" "The joint account. You took out the 12 grand last week, right?" "Yeah, he hasn't noticed. I doubt he even checks the balance. And honestly, we need it more than he does. That's going toward the down payment on the new property. He'd just waste it on some stupid motorcycle part anyway." I set the towel down very carefully. My hands were shaking. "You're cold, babe," Derek said, and I could hear the admiration in his voice. "I love it." "I learned from the best," Emily said. "Your parents didn't get where they are by being soft, and neither will we." They moved away from the kitchen after that, and their voices faded. I stood in the basement for another 10 minutes, staring at the concrete wall, trying to process what I'd just heard. My daughter, my only child, the girl I'd raised, paid for, supported through college, helped move into her first apartment, walked down the aisle 2 years ago. She was planning to humiliate me, publicly, and then discard me like I was some kind of broken appliance she didn't want to deal with anymore. I heard footsteps on the stairs. My wife Margaret appeared, carrying a laundry basket. She took one look at my face and set the basket down. "What happened?" she asked. "You look like someone kicked your ribs in." I told her everything. Margaret didn't say anything for a long time. She just stood there, her arms crossed, staring at the washing machine like it held answers. Then she looked at me. "Don't confront them," she said. "What?" "Not yet. If you go upstairs right now and call her out, she'll just deny it. Derek will back her up, and then they'll be more careful. You won't learn anything else." "So, what do I do?" Margaret's eyes were sharp. She'd always been the smart one in our marriage. I was good with my hands, good at fixing things that were broken. But Margaret could see 10 steps ahead. "You listen," she said. "You watch, you gather information, and then, when the time is right, you make sure they regret every single word they just said." I stared at her. You want me to get revenge? I want you to protect yourself. There's a difference. She picked up the laundry basket again. Trust me on this. Don't let them know you know, not yet. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the guest bedroom, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation over and over in my head. Margaret was next to me, breathing steadily, but I knew she wasn't asleep either. Around 2 a.m, I got up and went downstairs. I needed to think. I needed to figure out what the hell I was going to do. I ended up in my truck, parked in the driveway, windows down, cold November air washing over me. The neighborhood was silent. Every house was dark except for the streetlights casting long shadows across the pavement. I'd spent my whole life working. I opened my repair shop when I was 23, right after Margaret and I got married. Motorcycles, lawnmowers, chainsaws, anything with an engine that people needed fixed. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was honest. I built a reputation. People trusted me. I made enough to support my family, send Emily to a good school, give her opportunities I never had. And this was how she saw me. An embarrassment. An antique. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Margaret was right. I couldn't confront them. Not yet. But I also couldn't just sit there and let them humiliate me in front of my entire family. I needed a plan. Over the next 3 days, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. I noticed that Emily barely looked at me during dinner. When she did talk to me, it was in that overly polite voice people use when they're trying to be patient with someone they consider beneath them. Derek was worse. He had this smug smile, like he was in on a joke I wasn't smart enough to understand. I also started noticing small things around the house. Papers left out on the kitchen counter, receipts, bank statements. On the 4th day, I found a bank statement from the joint account Emily and I had opened years ago. It was supposed to be for emergencies, but I'd been putting money into it every month as a way to help her out. The balance should have been around $18,000. It was $6,000. I checked the transaction history. 3 withdrawals over the past 2 months. $12,000 total. Just like Derek had said. All signed by Emily. I took a photo of the statement with my phone and put it back exactly where I'd found it. That same afternoon, I ran into our neighbor Bill while I was getting the mail. Bill was retired, spent most of his time working in his yard, and loved to talk. Hey, how's it going? I asked. Can't complain, Bill said. How about you? You guys settling in okay over at Emily's place? Yeah. It's been fine. Bill hesitated, then leaned in a little. Listen, I don't want to overstep, but I heard Emily talking to some of her friends the other day when they were out on the porch. Sounded like she was venting pretty hard about something. Yeah? About what? Well, Bill looked uncomfortable. About you, actually. She was saying something about how you were living off her, and how she couldn't wait to get her house back. I'm sure she didn't mean it the way it sounded, but I thought you should know. I forced a smile. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. I went back inside and sat down at the kitchen table. Margaret was at the store, and Emily and Derek were both at work. The house was empty. I pulled out my phone and opened the family group chat. The one with me, Margaret, Emily, and Derek. Except when I scrolled back through the messages, I realized something. There were gaps, conversations that didn't make sense because I was clearly missing parts of them, inside jokes I wasn't in on. I opened Emily's laptop. She'd left it on the counter, unlocked. I felt a twinge of guilt, but it passed quickly. It didn't take long to find the other group chat, the one without me. It was called Operation Thanksgiving. I scrolled through the messages. My stomach tightened with every line. Emily, I'm thinking we do it right after dinner before dessert. That way everyone's still sitting down and paying attention. Derek, perfect. I'll back you up. We'll make it sound like we're doing him a favor. Emily, exactly. And if he tries to argue, we just calmly explain that we've been supporting him for months and it's not sustainable anymore. Derek's mom, who I'd met exactly twice. You're doing the right thing, sweetheart. Sometimes you have to be tough with family. Emily, thanks. I just want to make sure everyone sees that we tried, that we're not the bad guys here. Derek, trust me, nobody's going to think you're the bad guy, not after we're done. I closed the laptop and sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. Then I got up, went into the garage, and started making a plan. The next day, I went to my lawyer. His name was Frank Holloway, and he'd helped me set up the shop years ago. He was in his 60s now, semi-retired, but he still took my call. "What can I do for you?" Frank asked when I sat down in his office. I explained the situation, not all of it, just enough. "I need to make some changes to my will," I said, "and I need to revoke the power of attorney I gave Emily last year." Frank raised his eyebrows. "You sure about this?" "Positive." "Okay, let's get started." It took 2 hours, but by the time I left Frank's office, I had everything I needed. A new will, leaving everything to Margaret, and specifically excluding Emily unless certain conditions were met. A notarized revocation of the power of attorney, and a letter, signed and dated, formally stating that I would no longer be providing financial support to Emily or Derek. I put all the documents in a folder and brought them home. That night, I started a notebook. I wrote down every insult, every dismissive comment, every time Emily had looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. I included dates. I included witnesses. I made sure everything was documented. I also set up a small audio recorder in the kitchen. It was legal. This was my daughter's house, but it was also my temporary residence, and I had every right to record conversations that happened in common areas. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I got a text from Emily. "Hey Dad, just wanted to remind you to dress nicely for Thanksgiving. We're having a lot of people over, and I want to make sure everything looks good. Thanks." I stared at the text for a long time. Then I wrote back. "Sure thing, sweetheart. Looking forward to it." The Friday before Thanksgiving, I had my first real test. I was at the shop, working on a Harley-Davidson that had been brought in with a blown gasket, when 2 guys started arguing near the front counter. I didn't know either of them well, but they were both regulars. The argument escalated fast. One guy shoved the other guy shoved back. Then one of them grabbed a wrench off the workbench. I moved faster than I'd moved in years. I got between them before the wrench could connect with anyone's skull. The guy swung anyway, and I caught his wrist, twisted it just enough to make him drop the tool, and shoved him backward. "Get out," I said. "Both of you. Now." They stared at me. I didn't blink. I said, "Get out." They left. I stood there for a minute, breathing hard, adrenaline still pumping through my veins. My assistant, a kid named Travis, was staring at me from behind the counter. "That was intense," Travis said. "Yeah. You okay?" "I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. I was angry. And as I drove home that night, something clicked in my head. If I could break up 2 meatheads swinging wrenches at each other, I could handle my own family. That night, I sat down with Margaret at the kitchen table. Emily and Derek were upstairs, and the house was quiet. "I'm ready," I said. Margaret looked at me. "Ready for what?" "They think they're kicking me out," I said. "But I'm the one leaving. After I take everything back." Margaret smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who'd been waiting for this moment. "Good," she said. "Let's make sure they never forget it." Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The Monday before Thanksgiving, I started laying the groundwork. It was subtle. Small moves that wouldn't be noticed individually, but would add up when the time came. I'd learned a long time ago that the best way to take something apart was to loosen one bolt at a time. Rush it, and you'd strip the threads. Be patient, and the whole thing would fall apart in your hands. Emily was at work. Derek was showing properties somewhere across town. Margaret and I were alone in the house. "I'm going to the community center," I told her. "They're having that charity drive today." Margaret looked up from her book. Be careful. Always am. The community center was busy. It was one of those things Emily had dragged me to a few months back, some fundraiser for a local youth program. I hadn't wanted to go, but she'd insisted, saying it would be good for me to socialize and be seen supporting the community. At the time, I thought she was just trying to be nice. Now I knew better. She wanted people to see her with me, wanted them to see her being the dutiful daughter, taking care of her aging father, building her image. Well, two could play that game. I spotted Janet Morrison near the refreshment table. She was the type who knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. Perfect. "Janet, how are you?" I asked, walking over with a smile. "Oh, I'm wonderful. How about you? How's the renovation going?" "Slow," I said. "But that's how these things go, right? I appreciate Emily letting us stay with her. I know it's been tough on her." Janet's eyes lit up. This was exactly the kind of conversation she lived for. "Oh, I'm sure she doesn't mind," Janet said. "You're her father." "That's kind of you to say," I said. "But I know she's been under a lot of stress lately. Derek's got all these business deals going, and Emily's been picking up extra work. I think the pressure's getting to her." I said it casually, like it was just an observation, like I was concerned. Janet leaned in slightly. "Really? I hadn't noticed. She always seems so put together." "She is," I said quickly. "But you know how it is. Sometimes people hide it well. I just hope she's taking care of herself. I'd hate for her to burn out." "Of course," Janet said, her expression thoughtful now. "You know, I did see her at the grocery store last week and she did seem a little frazzled." "Exactly," I said. "That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, I should let you get back to it. Just wanted to say hello." I walked away before she could ask any more questions. The seed was planted. By tomorrow, half the community would be talking about how Emily was stressed and under pressure. And when Thanksgiving rolled around, when she tried to make me look bad, people would already have a different narrative in their heads. That afternoon, I ran into Emily's boss at the hardware store. His name was Richard, and he managed the marketing firm where Emily worked. I'd met him once at a company picnic. "Richard, good to see you," I said, extending my hand. "Likewise," he said. "How's everything going?" "Can't complain," I said. "Listen, I don't want to overstep, but I wanted to mention something. Emily's been working really hard lately, maybe too hard. I'm a little worried about her." Richard frowned. "She seems fine to me." "That's good to hear," I said. "I just know she's been under a lot of stress at home, with the renovations and everything. I'd hate for it to affect her work. Maybe she could use a few days off after Thanksgiving, just to recharge." Richard nodded slowly. "That's thoughtful of you. I'll keep an eye on her." "Thanks. I appreciate it." Another seed planted. When I got home, Margaret was waiting for me in the garage. "How'd it go?" she asked. "Perfect," I said. "By the end of the week, everyone's going to think Emily's on the verge of a breakdown." "Good. What's next?" "I need to make her think someone's betraying her." Margaret tilted her head. "Who?" "Derek." She smiled. "I like the way you think." That night, I waited until Emily and Derek were asleep. Then I went into the kitchen and took a photo of the group chat on Emily's laptop, the one called Operation Thanksgiving. I cropped the image so it just showed a few of the messages, nothing too incriminating on its own, but enough to look suspicious. Then I sent it to Emily's phone from a burner email account I'd set up earlier that day. No message, just the photo. I deleted the email from the sent folder, cleared the browser history, and went to bed. The next morning, I was up early, sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, when Emily came downstairs. She looked pale. She was staring at her phone. "Everything okay?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. She just kept staring at the screen. "Emily?" "It's nothing," she said quickly, shoving her phone into her pocket. "Just work stuff." "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. I could see it in the way her hands were trembling, the way she kept glancing at Derek when he came downstairs a few minutes later. "Hey, babe," Derek said, kissing her on the cheek. "You look stressed." "I'm not stressed," Emily snapped. Derek raised his eyebrows. "Okay, sorry." "No, I'm sorry," Emily said quickly. "I just didn't sleep well." "You want to talk about it?" "No, it's fine." I sipped my coffee and said nothing. Margaret gave me the slightest nod from across the table. Later that day, Emily confronted Derek. I wasn't there for it, but Margaret told me what happened. Apparently, Emily had asked Derek if he'd sent the screenshot to anyone. Derek had no idea what she was talking about. The conversation had escalated. Emily accused him of being careless with his phone. Derek accused her of being paranoid. By dinner time, they weren't speaking to each other. I felt a small, dark satisfaction. The next day, I followed Derek. I didn't plan to. I was just driving back from the shop when I saw his truck pull out of the driveway. Something about the way he was driving, fast and deliberate, made me curious. I followed him across town, keeping a few cars back. He drove to a construction site on the edge of the county. It was a big development, one of those cookie-cutter housing projects that promised luxury living but looked like every other subdivision in America. Derek parked and got out. A woman met him near the entrance to the site office. She was in her 40s, dressed in a business suit, carrying a briefcase. They talked for a few minutes, their body language tense. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see Derek gesturing emphatically, the woman shaking her head. Then she handed him a folder and walked away. I waited until Derek got back in his truck before I started following him again. But this time, he noticed. I saw his eyes flick to the rearview mirror. He sped up. I sped up too. He turned down a side road that led through the construction site. I followed. The road was unpaved, full of potholes and loose gravel. My truck bounced hard, but I didn't slow down. Derek took a sharp turn, kicking up dust. I stayed on him. We were weaving between half-built houses now, scaffolding and piles of lumber everywhere. He was trying to lose me, but I knew how to drive in rough terrain. I'd been doing it my whole life. Then Derek made a mistake. He slammed on the brakes, and I pulled up behind him, blocking his exit. He got out of the truck, furious. "What the hell are you doing?" he shouted. I got out too, slowly. My heart was pounding, but I kept my expression calm. "Just wanted to see where you were going," I said. "You followed me?" "Yep." "That's insane. What's wrong with you?" "Nothing's wrong with me," I said. "I'm just curious. Who was that woman?" Derek's face went red. "That's none of your business." "Is it business, or is it personal?" "It's business," Derek spat. "Not that it's any of your concern." "Funny," I said. "You looked pretty stressed, almost like something wasn't going the way you planned." Derek stepped closer. He was bigger than me, younger, and he clearly thought he could intimidate me. "Stay out of my life," he said, his voice low. "You understand me?" I didn't move. "I understand perfectly." We stood there for a moment, staring at each other. Then Derek turned and got back in his truck. I moved my truck just enough to let him pass. He peeled out, spraying gravel everywhere, and disappeared down the road. I sat there for a minute, breathing hard. Then I got out and walked over to where Derek had been standing. There was a scrap of paper on the ground, must have fallen out of the folder. I picked it up. It was a contract, or part of one. Something about a property deal, a construction loan, and a name I didn't recognize. But the important part was at the bottom, where it listed Emily's name next to a line that said, "Co-signer." I folded the paper and put it in my pocket. That night, I did some digging. It didn't take long to figure out what Derek was planning. He was trying to finance a property deal using Emily's credit. The woman he'd met was a business partner, and based on the scrap of contract I'd found, she was getting cold feet. The deal was risky, involved some questionable construction shortcuts, and if it went south, Emily would be on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Derek hadn't told her any of this. I showed the document to Margaret. "This is it," she said quietly. "This is the leverage you need." "Not just leverage," I said. "This is why they want to get rid of me. Derek needs Emily's credit free and clear. If I'm still in the picture, still listed on that joint account, it complicates things for him. He needs me gone." "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to make sure everyone knows," I said. "But not yet. Not until Thanksgiving." The next day, Emily found out that her boss had suggested she take a few days off after the holiday. She was livid. She came storming into the house that afternoon, threw her bag on the counter, and glared at me. "Did you talk to Richard?" she demanded. I looked up from the newspaper I was reading. "Who's Richard?" "My boss. Did you talk to him?" "I ran into him at the hardware store," I said. "We chatted for a minute." "Why?" "He just told me I should take some time off because I seem stressed." "What did you say to him?" "I just said you'd been working hard," I said calmly. "That's all." "That's all?" "Dad, he thinks I'm having some kind of breakdown." "I'm sure he doesn't think that." "Yes, he does. Everyone at work is asking me if I'm okay. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is?" I shrugged. "I was just trying to help." "Well, don't," Emily snapped. "I don't need your help." She stormed out of the room. Derek followed her upstairs. I could hear them arguing, their voices muffled but angry. Margaret looked at me from the doorway. "You're enjoying this," she said. "A little," I admitted. "Good. You should." 2 days before Thanksgiving, things came to a head. It was late afternoon. Emily and Derek were in the backyard arguing. I could hear them through the window. Margaret had gone to the store, so I was alone in the house. I walked outside. "Everything okay?" I asked. Emily spun around. "No, everything's not okay. I want to know what you're trying to do." "I'm not trying to do anything." "Bullshit," Emily said. "You've been spreading rumors about me. You've been following Derek. You've been acting weird for days." "I think you're being paranoid," I said. "I'm being paranoid? You sent me a screenshot of my own group chat." I raised my eyebrows. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me." Derek stepped forward. "Look, we're all a little on edge. Let's just calm down." "I don't want to calm down," Emily said. "I want to know what he's doing." "I'm not doing anything," I said again. "But maybe you should ask yourself why you're so worried." "What are you hiding, Emily?" Her face went pale. "I'm not hiding anything." "Then why are you so upset?" "Because you're trying to ruin my life." "I think you're doing that on your own," I said quietly. Derek moved toward me. "You need to back off." "Or what?" He shoved me. Not hard, but enough to make me take a step back. "Derek, don't," Emily said. But Derek wasn't listening. He shoved me again, harder this time. I didn't move. I just looked at him. "You think you can intimidate me?" I asked. "I think you need to learn your place," Derek said. "My place?" "Yeah. You're a guest in our house. You're here because we're letting you be here. And if you don't start showing some respect, you're going to find yourself on the street a lot sooner than you think." I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "We'll see about that," I said. Derek grabbed the front of my shirt. Emily screamed at him to stop, but he didn't. He pulled me close, his face inches from mine. "You want to mess with me?" he said. "Go ahead, but I promise you you're going to lose." I didn't say anything. I just stared at him until he let go. Then I turned and walked back into the house. Emily was shouting at Derek now, but I didn't care. I went straight to the garage, got into my truck, and drove to the shop. I sat there for an hour, trying to calm down. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from anger, from the knowledge that in 2 days I was going to destroy both of them. When I got home, Margaret was waiting. "What happened?" she asked. I told her. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." "I will be," I said, "after Thanksgiving." That night, Emily called down from upstairs. "Dad, Can you come here for a second? I climbed the stairs. She was standing in the hallway, her arms crossed. I just want to make sure we're clear, she said. Thanksgiving is important to me. A lot of people are coming. I need you to behave. I always behave, I said. I'm serious. No scenes, no drama. Can you do that? I looked at her for a long moment. My daughter, the girl I used to read bedtime stories to, the girl I taught how to ride a bike, the girl who used to hug me and tell me I was the best dad in the world. Sure, Emily, I said. No drama. Good. And Dad? Yeah? She smiled. It was the same smile Derek had given me earlier. Smug. Superior. Just wait till Thanksgiving. You'll see your place. I didn't respond. I just turned and went back downstairs. Margaret was in the guest bedroom, packing a bag. What are you doing? I asked. Getting ready, she said. We're leaving the day after Thanksgiving. Where are we going? Anywhere but here, she said. But first, we're going to make sure they never forget what they did. I sat down on the bed and watched her pack. My heart was pounding, but for the first time in days, I felt calm. You ready for this? Margaret asked. I'm ready, I said. The apology letter arrived 2 days later. It came in a plain white envelope, no return address, just my name written in Emily's handwriting. I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. Margaret was sitting across from me at the small table in the motel room. You going to read it or just stare at it? I'm thinking about it, I said. Just open it. I tore open the envelope and pulled out the letter. It was handwritten, 2 pages, the words neat and careful. Dad, I don't know where to start. I've been trying to figure out what to say for days, and every time I put pen to paper, it feels wrong. But you asked for this, so here it is. I'm sorry. I know those words don't fix anything, but they're the truth. I'm sorry for what I said. I'm sorry for what I planned. I'm sorry for how I treated you. You were right about everything. I did take money from the joint account without asking. I did plan to humiliate you at Thanksgiving. I did call you an embarrassment, and I can't take any of it back. I don't have an excuse. I could say I was stressed, or that Derek was pushing me, or that I wasn't thinking clearly. But the truth is, I made those choices. I said those words, and I have to live with that. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to trust me again, but I need you to know that I didn't mean any of it. Or maybe I did mean it in the moment, but it wasn't the real me. It was this angry, bitter version of myself that I don't even recognize anymore. I love you, Dad. I know I didn't show it. I know I didn't act like it, but I do, and I hate myself for what I did to you. If you ever decide you want to talk, I'll be here. But if you don't, I understand. Emily. I read the letter twice, then set it down on the table. Margaret picked it up and read it herself. When she finished, she looked at me. What do you think? I don't know, I said. It sounds genuine. It does, but is it enough? No, I said. But it's something. So what are you going to do? I thought about it. I thought about Emily standing in the shop, broken and crying. I thought about the way she'd looked at me in court, like I was a stranger. I thought about all the years we'd spent together, the good times and the bad, and how quickly it had all fallen apart. I don't know yet, I said finally, but I'm not ready to forgive her. Fair enough, Margaret said. Just don't wait too long. Sometimes the damage is too deep to fix. I nodded, but I didn't say anything. Over the next week, I tried to get back to some kind of normal. I went to the shop every day, worked on bikes, talked to customers, kept my hands busy. It helped. Not completely, but enough. Derek didn't come around. I didn't hear from him at all, which was fine with me. I figured he was licking his wounds, trying to figure out how to salvage his property deal now that Emily's credit was tanked and his reputation was in the gutter. Part of me felt bad about that, but only a small part. Linda called me once, She didn't yell this time. She just asked how I was doing. I told her I was fine. She didn't believe me, but she didn't push it either. We talked for a few minutes about nothing important, and then she hung up. Karen didn't call at all. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I didn't need them. But late at night, lying in the motel bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but feel like I'd lost more than I'd gained. On the 8th day after the court decision, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Is this Mr. Harrison?" a woman's voice asked. "Yeah, who's this?" "My name is Jessica Torres. I'm a reporter with the local news. I'm doing a story on family disputes and legal battles, and I was hoping I could ask you a few questions." I almost hung up, but something stopped me. "What kind of questions?" "Just about your recent court case with your daughter. I understand it was pretty contentious." "Who told you about that?" "Court records are public," Jessica said, "and I've been following the case. It's an interesting story. Father changes his will, daughter challenges it, recordings get played in court. It's the kind of thing people want to hear about." "I don't think so," I said. "I understand your hesitation," Jessica said, "but I think your side of the story deserves to be told. From what I've read, you were treated unfairly, and I'd like to give you a chance to explain why you did what you did." I thought about it. Part of me wanted to stay quiet, to let the whole thing blow over. But another part of me, the angry part, wanted people to know the truth, wanted them to understand why I'd done what I'd done. "Give me your number," I said. "I'll think about it." She gave me her number, and I hung up. Margaret looked at me. "You're not seriously considering talking to a reporter?" "Maybe." "That's a terrible idea." "Why?" "Because it'll just stir everything up again. Emily will see it, Derek will see it, everyone will see it, and it'll make things worse." "Or it'll make things better," I said. "People need to know what happened. They need to know I'm not the bad guy here." "You don't need to prove that to anyone," Margaret said. "Maybe I do." We argued about it for the rest of the day. Margaret thought it was a bad idea. I thought it was necessary. By the end of the night, we were both exhausted, and neither of us had changed our mind. I didn't call Jessica Torres back that night, but I didn't delete her number either. The next morning, I went to the shop early. Travis was already there, working on a Harley that had been brought in the day before. "Morning, boss," he said. "Morning." I walked around the shop, checking on things, making sure everything was in order. It was a routine I'd fallen into, a way to keep my mind occupied. Around 10, the door opened. I looked up, expecting a customer. It was Derek. He looked different, thinner. "We need to talk," he said. "I don't think we do." "Yes, we do," Derek said, stepping inside. "You've destroyed my life. You know that, right?" "I didn't destroy anything," I said. "You did that yourself." "Bullshit," Derek said. "You played those recordings in court. You told everyone about the property deal. You made me look like a criminal." "You are a criminal," I said. "You were trying to use Emily's credit without her knowledge. That's fraud." "It's business," Derek said. "You wouldn't understand." "Then explain it to me." Derek ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. "I was trying to make something of myself. I was trying to build something, and you ruined it." "I didn't ruin anything," I said. "I protected myself. And Emily." "Emily doesn't need your protection," Derek said. "She needs you to stay out of her life." "That's funny," I said. "Because last time I checked, you were the one who needed to stay out of my life." Derek stepped closer. "You think you're so smart. You think you've won. But you haven't. Not even close." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm not done with you," Derek said. "I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. I'm going to make sure you regret ever crossing me." I stood up, facing him. "Get out." "Or what?" "Or I'll make you get out." Derek laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. "You think you can intimidate me?" You're just an old man who's too stubborn to know when he's beaten. I'm not beaten, I said, and I'm not scared of you. Derek stared at me for a long moment. Then he turned and walked out, slamming the door behind him. Travis looked at me from across the shop. What was that about? Nothing, I said. Just Derek being Derek. But it wasn't nothing, and I knew it. That night, I called Jessica Torres. This is Jessica, she answered. It's Mr. Harrison. I've thought about your offer. I'll do the interview. Great, Jessica said. When can we meet? Tomorrow, 10 a.m., my shop. Perfect. I'll see you then. I hung up and looked at Margaret. She shook her head. You're making a mistake, she said. Maybe, I said. But it's my mistake to make. The next morning, Jessica Torres showed up at the shop exactly at 10. She was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and a notebook in her hand. Mr. Harrison? She asked. That's me. Thanks for agreeing to this, she said. Can we sit down somewhere? I led her to the small office in the back of the shop. It wasn't much, just a desk and a couple of chairs, but it was private. So, Jessica said, pulling out her notebook, tell me your side of the story. And I did. I told her everything, about the conversation I'd overheard, about the money Emily had taken, about Derek's property deal, about the recordings, about the court case. Jessica listened, taking notes, occasionally asking questions. When I finished, she looked at me. That's quite a story, she said. It's the truth. I believe you, she said, but I have to ask, do you regret any of it? I thought about it. No, I did what I had to do. Even if it means you and your daughter might never reconcile. Even then. Jessica nodded. Okay, I think I have everything I need. The story should run in a few days. I'll send you a link when it's published. Thanks. She stood up and shook my hand. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. We'll see, I said. After she left, I sat in the office for a long time, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. The article came out 3 days later. I saw it first thing in the morning when I checked my phone. The headline read, Local man exposes daughter's plan to humiliate him in court battle over will. I clicked on the link and read the article. Jessica had done a good job. She'd laid out the facts clearly, included quotes from the court transcripts, and presented my side of the story without making it sound like a sob story. She'd even included a statement from Frank Holloway confirming that everything I'd said was accurate. But the comments section was brutal. Some people supported me. They called Emily and Derek manipulative, said I was right to protect myself, praised me for standing up for myself. But others tore me apart. They called me vindictive, cruel, a bad father. They said I should have found a way to work things out instead of airing my family's dirty laundry in public. They said I was destroying my daughter's life over a misunderstanding. I stopped reading after the first 20 comments. Margaret looked over my shoulder. Don't read those. Too late. It doesn't matter what strangers think, she said. You know the truth. Yeah, I said. I know the truth. But knowing the truth didn't make it hurt any less. By noon, my phone was blowing up. Linda called. Karen called. Even a few old friends I hadn't talked to in years called. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone wanted to know why I'd gone to the press. I ignored most of the calls. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Around 2, Emily called. I stared at the screen for a long time before answering. Yeah? How could you do this? Emily's voice was raw, shaking. How could you talk to a reporter? Do you have any idea what this is doing to me? I told the truth, I said. You humiliated me. Again. Everyone I know has seen this article. My friends, my co-workers, Derek's family, everyone. Good, I said. Maybe they'll understand why I did what I did. They don't understand, Emily said. They think you're a monster. They think I'm a monster. They think we're both monsters. That's not my problem. Yes, it is, Emily shouted. You're my father. You're supposed to protect me, not destroy me. I did protect you, I said. I protected you from Derek. I protected you from making a mistake that would have ruined your life, but you were too blind to see it. Emily was crying now. I wrote you that letter. I apologized. I thought that meant something. It did mean something, I said. But it doesn't change what you did, and it doesn't change what I have to do to protect myself. So what now? Emily asked. You just keep punishing me forever? I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm just living my life. If that feels like punishment to you, that's your problem. There was a long silence. Then Emily said very quietly, I wish I'd never been born. And she hung up. I stood there, staring at the phone, her words echoing in my head. Margaret walked over. What did she say? I told her. She's just upset, Margaret said. She doesn't mean it. Maybe, I said. Or maybe she does. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the conversation with Emily over and over in my head. The way her voice had sounded. The way she'd said she wished she'd never been born. Part of me wanted to call her back, to tell her I was sorry, to try to fix things. But another part of me, the angry part, refused to budge. She'd hurt me first. She'd planned to destroy me. Why should I be the one to apologize? Around 3 a.m, I got up and went outside. The motel parking lot was empty, the air cold and still. I walked to the edge of the lot and stood there, staring at the dark sky. I thought about my life, about the shop, about Margaret, about Emily. I thought about how I'd spent decades building something, only to watch it fall apart in a matter of weeks, and I thought about whether any of it had been worth it. The next morning, Derek showed up at the shop again. This time, he wasn't alone. He had 2 guys with him, both bigger than him, both looking like they were itching for a fight. We need to talk, Derek said. I've got nothing to say to you, I said. Too bad, Derek said, because I've got plenty to say to you. Travis looked at me nervously. I gave him a slight nod, and he backed away toward the office. What do you want, Derek? I asked. I want you to retract that interview, Derek said. I want you to call that reporter and tell her you lied. I didn't lie. Yes, you did, Derek said. And now everyone thinks I'm some kind of criminal. My business is falling apart. My family thinks I'm a screw-up, and it's all because of you. No, I said. It's because of you. You made those choices. You tried to use Emily's credit. You tried to manipulate her. Don't blame me for exposing the truth. Derek stepped closer. You think you're some kind of hero? You're not. You're just a bitter old man who can't let go of the past. Get out of my shop, I said. Or what? Or I'll make you get out. Derek laughed. You and what army? The 2 guys with him stepped forward, cracking their knuckles. I didn't move. I just stared at Derek. You really want to do this? Yeah, Derek said. I really do. I sighed. All right. Your funeral. I reached behind the counter and pulled out a tire iron. It was heavy, solid, the kind of thing you didn't want to get hit with. Last chance, I said. Walk away? Derek hesitated. So did the 2 guys with him. They'd expected me to back down, to be scared. But I wasn't scared. I was angry. And angry men are dangerous. Let's go, one of the guys said to Derek. This isn't worth it. Derek glared at me. This isn't over. Yeah, it is, I said. Now get out. They left. I stood there for a minute, tire iron still in my hand, breathing hard. Travis came out of the office. You okay, boss? Yeah, I said. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding, and I knew that Derek was right. This wasn't over. That night, I told Margaret what had happened. You need to call the police, she said. And tell them what? That Derek showed up with some friends and threatened me? They'll just tell me to file a restraining order. Then file a restraining order. I'm not doing that, I said. I can handle Derek. You're being stubborn, Margaret said. Maybe, I said. But I'm not backing down. Not now. Margaret sighed. Fine. But if he comes back, we're calling the cops. Deal? Deal. The next day I went to the bank. I needed to make sure my accounts were secure, that Emily didn't have access to anything she shouldn't. It was a precaution, but a necessary one. While I was there, I ran into Patricia, Derek's mother. Mr. Harrison, she said, her voice cold. I didn't expect to see you here. Just taking care of some business, I said. I'm sure you are, Patricia said. You've certainly been busy lately, talking to reporters, ruining my son's reputation. I didn't ruin anything, I said. I just told the truth. The truth, Patricia repeated. Do you even know what the truth is anymore? Or are you so wrapped up in your own bitterness that you can't see what you're doing to your own daughter? I'm protecting myself, I said. Something your son should have thought about before he tried to screw me over. Patricia stepped closer. Derek made a mistake, but he's a good man, and you've destroyed him. He destroyed himself, I said. Patricia shook her head. You're a sad, angry man, and I feel sorry for you. She walked away, leaving me standing there in the middle of the bank, feeling like the whole world was against me. That night, I couldn't take it anymore. I called Emily. She didn't answer. I called again. Still no answer. I left a voicemail. Emily, it's Dad. We need to talk. Call me back. She didn't call back. I tried again the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. She never answered. By the end of the week, I realized she wasn't going to. She's shutting you out, Margaret said, just like you shut her out. I didn't shut her out, I said. I protected myself. It's the same thing. No, it's not. Margaret looked at me. Then what is it? I didn't have an answer.